So, you used all of these AI and ML techniques to improve the way that you're able to write WAF rules, both faster and perhaps even better. What made you and your team specifically decide WAF rules is the right place to start when using AI for security engineering?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll also give a background about how this topic came about. It actually came about on a recent interview that we were conducting. So we typically like to provide candidates with a take-home exercise project not related to what we do day to day. We feel like abstracted interview questions may not be relevant to the day to day. So go do something. Let's think about something that we actually need inside and see what we can, if we can do something about it. Just a problem oriented interview process. Why we decided to do this is one, we have 6 WAF vendors and we have a team of, the WAF team is about 3 people. We have 6 vendors. We have about 90 product teams, 90 products at Adobe. So you have the Photoshop web, the Illustrator, Adobe Experience Platform. The list goes on and on. We cannot be servicing those teams using 3 people with the quality that we want. And LLM came out and really disrupted software engineering. And I think the security area is really ripe to be disrupted as well, just due to the availability of data. LLM thrive when there's a lot of examples. And there's a lot of HTTP examples out there as far as traffic go. Me and you sitting here, there's gazillions of requests going around the world, people trying to access services using mobile or computers. Even students at schools are using their laptops to access online testing and so on. So there's so much examples, and the more examples there is, you can notice the difference as far as the LLM performs. And we're not just using LLM. We know LLMs has limitations, that they can hallucinate. During the interview, this came up, like, how could we mitigate the shortcomings of LLM? And we said maybe a RAG. A RAG is something that, it's a database that enhances your LLM with recent, most up-to-date knowledge. So I can build a knowledge base and feed it to the RAG, and the LLM, when retrieving and generating content for us, in this case is a WAF rule, they can look up the most up-to-date knowledge base. We could say, for Photoshop, do not create bot rules, but for AAV, go ahead and do that. You can also have an MCP server sitting on the side with the most up-to-date vendor documentation. So the LLM get assisted to make the right decisions and the correct decisions, and we still review things. Like the danger here with AI, we feel like, not just AI, with WAF generally, we need to be able to make sure the rule does not block legit traffic. And we have a system for that. We roll it in staging, we validate that it's working before we say, okay, this is clean and it can be moved to production. So in short, I know like this is a long answer to a question, but in short, we cannot scale the team using like classic detections, which is detection. I call it detection as rule, similar to the industry. But now we enter in a phase where I call it models, detection as models. So we used to write manual rules to detect things. Then we move to detection as code, which is writing maybe a Python script that it conditionally, can be conditioned to write things according to some conditions. So it's more expressive, it's more capable than just one rule trying to detect. Now we can write an entire model that looks at the data continuously and make some good decisions, and you can always make it better and iterate over it continuously.
So that gives me a couple of follow-up questions to ask. One that I would focus on first is whether you're seeing much fear coming from security engineers about AI in security engineering specifically, potentially, if not like eliminating their jobs, meaning there will be fewer roles available if people can be more effective. I know you and I have talked about this before, but maybe more on the fear side. Like, what are you seeing from security engineers and their outlook of using AI in their jobs?
I think the fear is there. Some people don't have fear. Some people do share concerns. Especially, I get this concerns from people trying to get in, from students that I mentor. I went to the University of Washington recently and I spoke there, and this question came up. But the way I see it is AI is enable developers to create more software. More software means more security problems. More security problems means more human ingenuity needed to solution using AI. So I feel like people are been saying that for a while. If you use an AI, you will be able to, continuously be useful. If you don't adapt and still try to keep up with developers using AI, like if a developer is riding your Ferrari, you cannot catch him using a Mazda. Like, I'm sorry, like I had a Mazda, so I'm being. Uh, um, so yeah, I think security engineering need to keep up, and to keep up, you need to adapt to the tools that the rest of the industry is using to be able to catch up.
I drive a Mazda also, and as much as I love it, you're right. It's not going to compete with a Ferrari as much as we'd love it to.
Yeah.
The second kind of related question I have is more like, what will people be doing if they're not writing WAF rules anymore? And you can kind of draw a parallel with application security engineers. If they're not spending a lot of time triaging potential false positives and generating tickets, if you have a tool to do that, they might be threat modeling, they might be working on secure design review. What do you see your WAF team working on once you get this into production if they're not having to constantly write new rules?
So this system will never stop needing to be trained. Like, this is just given. We have so many different applications. They all process different type of traffic, and the traffic is changing daily. We front a service with some MCP that slightly adjusts how traffic look like. We introduce some agents in front of Photoshop that slightly modify how Photoshop behaves. So this system continuously needing someone to be the security expert that tell it what to do. So the LLM is not going to be a security expert. It does not have business context. LLM does not know what Adobe Photoshop landscape look like, right? Like, it just have some data scraped off of Reddit, that's it. We need to bring a lot of security experience. So look at it as you have this very capable system that if you teach it well, it will serve you well. If you abandon it and hope for the best that it has what it takes to do the job, it's going to be, you're going to be disappointed. And you can easily test it. Like, try to use just pure LLM without any a custom model that you train like in-house to do this work, and it's just going to block legit traffic. It's just a lot of false positives. We really suffered from the static code analysis things, and we really moving to more dynamic universe where I think we should take advantage. And like I said, I think the security space we have a lot of data, and security is a false positive problem. So when you have a lot of data, you have a lot, and machine learning, you have a good opportunity to leverage that data to do something interesting. So I feel like security engineers will now be training machine learning systems and building and assembling machine learning systems to complement like vendor tools to bring about solutions that previously were not possible.
Yeah, I mean, to your earlier point, if you have 6 tools supporting hundreds of projects, being an expert in all 6 tools is unlikely. Getting parity between those tools is unlikely. So it, is not just about efficiency, right? So speaking of efficiency, like if we look at the studies that have come out about developer efficiency when using AI tools, it varies from study to study, but generally, like when used well, when used right, there is an efficiency productivity boost. What are you kind of expecting to see once you roll this out into production when it comes to the efficiency of your team? How do you think you'll, measure that it's working?
Yeah, right now we're literally being paralyzed by the amount of products, the amount of vendors, the amount of volume of logs, right? That's three people cannot just go and support 90 systems. So this project is actually built for developers to self-service. So I can't be in each product team conversation every day, but the best way to use these custom models is to train a model on a product specific traffic. So we're not training it on an aggregate of Adobe traffic. Each product have unique problems, have unique type of traffic and users, right? So training on specific use cases give us better signal. And this system is not very expensive to run. Like I will demo this. It can run on my laptop. So it's a lightweight model that it can get bigger depending on the needs, but you can start small and explore. So instead of us monthly doing a WAF review for a given team, the team can daily use the system. So we can move from month or a quarter to daily cadence, weekly cadence. So that's the productivity gain that not just my team is going to get, but each product team at Adobe is going to have a WAF engineer at their disposal that doesn't get tired, doesn't sleep, doesn't need food, doesn't make a lot of mistakes if we train it well. Humans tend to, they need to go to sleep. They can be up 24/7. And I don't know about others, but I do not stand regex. I can't just, but it's just not intuitive for me to do it. But AI doesn't mind that. Like AI is very capable of like predicting the next token needed to solve a problem. And WAF rules with AI and ML are a matter of, I can create 10 rules in a few minutes. That is not possible with human being. Like it's just not possible.
So I would anticipate your leadership is much like a lot of other companies where there's an expectation that everybody is using AI to be more effective, to, drive better scale, better outcomes, but also there's certainly a lot of people concerned about the security ramifications of using AI. Excuse me. And so as you're like, you said you're going to be presenting this at a leadership offsite soon. How are you going to talk with them about the ways in which you addressed security concerns with this as you built it?
Yeah, we treat AI like any other system. Secure defaults, least privilege, human in the loop validation, and we plan to self-host this internally and like on AWS, maybe Bedrock or something else. And this same principle apply. Like cloud security is still relevant here, right? MCP has been the concern lately because remote code execution, but things has gotten better. And one of the things, like we're not planning to leverage remote MCPs. We're gonna build our own MCP servers and self-host all of these things internally, authentication, encryption, just the basic, like security, once you get the foundations right, and this is where most of us kind of neglect the foundations, and you're never going to see like a sophisticated attack. It's not someone, I don't know, figuring out a decryption algorithm who get access to your data. It's that you forgot to do authentication right, you forgot to encrypt your S3 buckets, simple stuff. So once we handle those, we're pretty confident about making sure those systems are secure.
Yeah, you're making me think of the current wave of NPM malware attacks. Most of those are not sophisticated attacks. They're not doing super fancy things. They're just relying on the lack of fundamental security controls like MFA.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some other use cases that you and your team are exploring now that you've kind of proven out that this WAF one has legs? You're getting ready to roll it into production. What's next?
Yeah, it's for me, it's still around WAF. So I'll give you another example that we're thinking about pretty soon. So the way we onboard on a WAF vendor is usually an API. We make some API calls. We build a self-service onboarding form. People fill out information. So we would like to actually offer MCP servers that enhance the onboarding experience. So anyone can self-service onboard. The chat bot will help guide you to onboard correctly. So you don't have to read documentation. So I have a lot of documentation. We ask developers to, step number one, go read the documentation. Step number two, go and fill out the form, and then some automation is going to happen behind the scene. We would like to blend those together where it's one experience. You don't have to read anything. If you have a question, you just ask the chatbot, hey, what do I need to onboard? The chatbot is going to respond and say, you need an Akamai API key or F5 API key. Okay, where do I put the key? Maybe in a secure location where I can grab it from. All right, I'm ready. Can you get it done for me? And we have an MCP server that has access to the API. So it's an abstraction layer where they can use natural language to onboard to our WAF vendor. No needing to build anything, no needing to read a lot.
That's really cool. They're going to love that. What does it look like to build that kind of experience in partnership with developers so that you know what they want from the experience?
Yeah, we typically roll out an MVP and we find few candidates who can partner with us on, testing it out, and we let them play with it and give us feedback. We get the feedback and that goes into the next iteration of the product.
And then for somebody who wants to get started with any of the things you've talked about, building your own MCP server, setting up a RAG. We didn't talk specifically about training your own models too much, but the full gamut. Where would you tell them to start?
Yeah, so most of my mentees are students. They don't have a lot of like a bigger budget. So what I really recommend and the resource I've used, during my early days was just Udemy. Udemy, you go to Udemy, the price of lunch will get you a very solid course. One instructor that I would highly recommend is Ed Donner, so EDDONNER. He is the CTO of a New York-based startup called Nebula, and he has two courses, one on LLM engineering and the second one on agentic AI engineering. I'm actually taking the agentic one right now, really good. As far as books, is the popular AI engineering book. Most of us are reading it right now. I really love some of the courses that Claude had produced, like using Cloud Code, the MCP documentation and course. They have a course on MCP. It's free. Hugging Face documentation and courses. They also have an MCP servers course. Really love it. So start there. Go to Udemy. Even machine learning, like just coming up to speed with NumPy, scikit-learn. Those are libraries, Python libraries that if you have some Python foundations, abstract lots of hard concept of machine learning where you can write a small function that create a straight line for regression, linear regression, or clustering. Like it's not very hard to come up to speed with this stuff. If you want to do something very sophisticated and then very deep, you're gonna need like a serious book or serious training. But to get up to speed, to get started, it's not that difficult. I like to start from AI and then go to machine learning. Like get your hand, like see the magic, see the output, see the outcome. But once you need something local, relevant to you, like AI is not trained for just WAF use cases. So that's why the decision during the interview to go with something that we built custom for each product team. Um, you need ML at some point, like you need to be able to do that. But AI can also help guide you to do that. So it's a little bit of training. You can still leverage AI to vibe code maybe a machine learning model. That may be a thing, but I still feel like the foundations are really important to have there. And Udemy also have a lot of good machine learning courses. $11, you have a good machine learning course.
I just pulled those up on my machine and they look really interesting. I may be misremembering, but I think you posted on LinkedIn maybe within the last month about an approach to, you've got a book on topic X. How do you just read that book cover to cover, or do you, cherry pick? Am I remembering right that you've written about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can, maybe talk a little about it. So I used to get a book like this. And this is like one of the, let me see if I can, it's not.
It's not, it doesn't, if you hold it back and then down, there it
Yeah.
is.
So I like these books. Like it's was an inspiration for the work we're doing. It's called Intelligent Continuous Security. I don't know the author. This is not a blog, just a book that I enjoy. But the way you read, I think I benefit from technical books is I need to define an outcome. Like, what is it that I'm trying to do? Like the brain, you need to orient the brain. The brain needs to know, like, I am going to New York, and I then need a map to New York. And as you're driving, you look up where you're at and where you're going next. So this is how I use books. Just because reading it cover to cover, you just don't retain anything. But while problem solving, learning, like when there is an effort and it's hard, you tend to retain the information. So if the goal is to return the information in your head and be able to recall it in the future, don't try to recall, like those tactics don't work. Um, Start thinking about the project that you would like to deliver. Get the book that will assist you into building that. Maybe skim through it. Don't read all of it, Then you say, well, I need a function that validate, user input, or I need a function that validate the password. I do not know how to do that. I do not know where to put the password. Is it in a database? Like, how can I do, like, should I hash? What should I do? Just look at that part, get it. That's it. Step number 2, I need to do, I don't know, like the backend API for processing images and uploading up to S3. Never used
Right.
to
Keep
do
it
that.
very practical, like chunk it out.
Yeah, and eventually you find that you got what you need from the book. Maybe you didn't cover all of it, it's fine, but you got a lot out of it because you were able to use it to build something. And once you use your brain to build something, you tend to retain that information for a long time.
Okay, last question. You told me you're hiring. What are you looking for? What role are you looking to fill? What does a good candidate for that role look like?
I'm actually looking for a machine learning engineer.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, we would like to bring some person to be full-time on the WAF project to help us build those kind of models for our customers internally.
And are you looking for someone with experience having done that before, given this is all a little on the new side, or are you more focused on aptitude?
It would be a plus if we find someone who have been there, done that. Those people are not a lot, so we are very flexible with something that we did something adjacent to this
Mm,
in any space. It's a data problem, and machine learning concepts do carry over to anything with data.
that makes sense. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for taking the time.